I paid her way through university, then she secretly married a man who lied about dying. The day I learned I had terminal leukemia, a stranger sent me photographs from my girlfriend's wedding. For several minutes, I sat outside the hematology department at St. Thomas Hospital in London, holding Gertrudes that did not seem capable of existing in the same world. The first was printed on the medical report in my hand. Acute leukemia, advanced stage. My blood type was extremely rare. A stem cell transplant offered the only meaningful chance of survival, but finding a compatible donor quickly would be difficult. Without one, the specialist estimated that I had 3 months, 6 if treatment slowed the disease. The second truth appeared on my phone. A woman in a white dress stood inside a candlelit chapel in Copenhagen. Claire Whitmore, my girlfriend of 9 years. The woman I had supported through university. The woman whose company I had helped build. The woman who had promised that in 3 months, after an important expansion deal was complete, we would finally become engaged. Beside her stood Lucas Reed, a 24-year-old lifestyle creator Claire had introduced as the younger brother of an investor. Their hands were joined. A silver ring circled Claire's finger. Lucas wore another. Below the photograph, the stranger had written, "You should probably know that your girlfriend married me yesterday." I stared at the message until the letters blurred. Then another appeared. I told Claire I have terminal cancer. The doctors gave me 3 months. She said no one should face death alone, so she agreed to become my wife until the end. My fingers became cold. I typed, "Does she know you contacted me?" His reply arrived immediately. "No. She thinks you trust her too much to question anything." A third photograph appeared. Claire and Lucas stood outside the chapel beneath a shower of white petals. She was looking at him with an expression I had not seen in years. Not responsibility, not patience, wonder. Lucas continued, "Don't be angry with her. She believes you two will still have the rest of your lives after I'm gone." I looked down at my diagnosis. He believed he had 3 months. I truly did. The irony was so precise that I almost laughed. Instead, I asked, "What happens if you are still alive after 3 months?" The typing symbol appeared, disappeared, then returned. "I'll say the treatment worked." I read the answer twice. "You are not dying." "Not exactly. You lied to her." I told her I had cancer. I didn't tell her every detail. My hands tightened around the phone. "She legally married you because of that lie. She made her own decision." Another message arrived before I could answer. "Honestly, Ethan, you should accept what this proves. You were with her for 9 years and she never married you. I knew her for 11 months and she married me." I felt something inside me become completely still. Lucas knew who I was. He knew how long Claire and I had been together. He knew she had promised to marry me. And he knew enough about my life to use the wound he believed would hurt most. His final message appeared. "She says you only finished secondary school. She says you are kind, but you could never stand beside her professionally. Maybe she finally chose someone she isn't embarrassed to introduce." That sentence hurt more than the wedding photographs. Not because Lucas had written it, because the words sounded like Claire. I blocked his account. Then I tore my medical report in half, dropped it into a rubbish bin, and walked home through the rain. Claire and I met when we were 18. Neither of us had a proper family. My father drank heavily and treated violence like a language everyone in the house was expected to understand. My mother endured him until I finished school. Then she disappeared into a new marriage and made it clear that her new life did not include me. Claire had grown up in care after losing both parents. She was studying economics on a partial scholarship and working evenings in a supermarket. I had left school after finishing my A-level equivalents because there was no money for university. During the day, I repaired heating systems. At night, I delivered restaurant orders. Claire studied between shifts. Some evenings, she became so tired that she fell asleep with her head beside an untouched plate of food. One night, I found her crying behind the supermarket. Her tuition payment was overdue. The university had warned that she would lose her place. "How much do you need?" I asked. She wiped her face immediately. "I'll manage." "How much?" "Ethan, no, tell me." She stared at the pavement. £3,000. I had 4,000 saved. It represented nearly 2 years of work. I transferred the money the following morning. Claire discovered what I had done and arrived at my rented room furious. "You cannot give me everything you have. I still have enough for rent. For 1 month. I get paid next week. What happens if you lose your job?" "I'll find another." "What happens if you get sick?" "I'm not sick." She looked at me for a long time. Then she began crying. "I can't repay you." "You don't have to." "I will. You'll finish university." "That isn't repayment." "It is to me." Claire placed both hands against my face. "Why would you do this?" "Because someone should believe your worth investing in." She kissed me for the first time that night. For almost 4 years, I paid what her scholarships did not cover. Tuition, books, transport, rent when the supermarket reduced her hours. I took additional jobs and learned to survive on very little. Claire graduated near the top of her class. She received an offer to study for a master's degree but rejected it. When I found out, I was furious. "You gave up the place. I'm not allowing you to work yourself into the ground for another 2 years. We didn't come this far for you to stop." Yes, we. She wrapped her arms around me. "You have already done enough. I decide when it is enough." "No." She looked into my eyes. "From now on, I take care of us." Claire kept that promise for a while. She worked obsessively. Within 2 years, she founded a financial technology company called Whitmore Metrics. I invested every pound I had saved. A former client offered to invest too, but only if I matched his commitment. I sold my van, cashed out a small pension account, borrowed against everything I owned. The gamble worked. By the time the company became profitable, my original investment gave me 56% of its private shares. Claire owned most of the rest. Legally, I had more control over the company than she did, but I never behaved like her employer. She was the public founder, the chief executive, the brilliant graduate. Journalists wanted to interview. I remained in the background because I believed loving her meant helping her shine. When the company moved into a glass building overlooking the Thames, Claire gave me a ceremonial position, strategic advisor, no specific duties, no regular meetings. I told myself she wanted me to rest after years of physical work. The truth was simpler. A boyfriend without a university degree did not fit the image she had created. The night I returned from the hospital, my temperature reached 39 degrees. I swallowed medication and curled beneath a blanket. Sometime after midnight, I heard Claire enter the flat. She was speaking quietly on the phone. "Yes. The Copenhagen ceremony was beautiful." A pause. "No. Ethan doesn't suspect anything." Another pause. "Lucas only has 3 months. I'll stay with him until the end." My eyes opened. Claire continued moving through the hallway. "Afterward, I will accept Ethan's proposal." She sounded calm, logical, as though she had arranged to important meetings rather than to separate marriages. Someone on the phone must have challenged her, because her voice became colder. "Ethan trusts me." A pause. "He has always trusted me." Another pause. "No, he cannot manage the company. He finished school and immediately started working. He would be lost in a board meeting." She walked toward the bedroom. "Lucas understands my world." I closed my eyes before she entered. Claire placed a suitcase near the door. Then she noticed my face. "Ethan." She touched my forehead. Her hand immediately pulled back. "You're burning. It's only a fever. You need a doctor." "I'll go tomorrow." "No, I'll drive you now." Her concern looked real. That almost made everything worse. She began searching for her keys. Then her phone rang. "Lucas." Claire silenced it. He called again. She answered with the volume lowered. I'm busy. His voice still carried through the room. If we don't leave now, we'll miss the flight. Claire looked at me, then at the suitcase. That was when I remembered the photographs from Copenhagen had been from a legal civil ceremony. The trip tonight was for something larger. Lucas had mentioned a church, fireworks, a public promise for his followers. Claire wanted to give him an unforgettable final season of life. I sat up. The room tilted. She returned to the bed. Ethan, I'll take you to hospital. The phone rang for the third time. Claire closed her eyes. Then she looked at her watch. I have to leave. I said nothing. She placed a hand against my cheek. Can you call a taxi? Yes, you're not a child. If the fever gets worse, go directly to hospital. All right. She hesitated. A warm stream moved beneath my nose. I raised one hand. Blood covered my fingers. Claire's face lost its color. Ethan. Her phone rang again. She looked at the screen, then back at me. 1 second passed, perhaps 2. Finally, she handed me a box of tissues. Apply pressure. If it doesn't stop, call emergency services. You're leaving. I cannot miss the flight. She picked up her suitcase. This trip was arranged months ago. Of course. Please don't make this more difficult. I looked at the blood soaking through the tissues. I wouldn't dream of it. Claire kissed my forehead. Take care of yourself. Then she left to marry another man in a church. The bleeding did not stop. I reached the hospital alone. The specialist insisted that I should be admitted. Where is your family? They won't come. Your partner. Traveling. You need someone who understands the seriousness of this diagnosis. She has something important to do. The doctor stared at me. Then he pulled a chair closer. Mr. Cole, you may require emergency treatment at any time. With your blood type, we also need to begin searching for a donor immediately. I don't have relatives willing to help. Call them, they won't come. Try. Perhaps he saw something in my face. Or perhaps I still wanted one person to prove me wrong. I called my mother. She answered after several rings. Who is this? Mum. It's Ethan. Her breathing changed. What do you want? I'm ill. So go to a doctor. I'm at the hospital. Silence. The doctors need to test clothes. Relatives. Her voice sharpened. No. Mum. I already raised you until you were 18. I'm not asking you to raise me. Your father ruined half my life. I finally have a peaceful family. I only need a blood test. You don't understand. What don't I understand? My husband doesn't want your father's problems entering our home. I'm not my father. You remind me of him. The sentence struck with the same cold accuracy as Claire's message about my education. My mother continued. I don't want you contacting me again. Whatever happens, handle it yourself. Mum, and don't call me if you're dying. The line disconnected. The doctor looked down at his desk. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Finally, he said, we can still search the international registry. How long will that take? We don't know. How long do I have? 3 months is a realistic estimate. 6. If treatment slows the progression. I leaned back, outside the window. Morning light was beginning to cover London. Then I don't want to spend all of it here. That afternoon, I booked a flight to Denmark. Claire believed the Copenhagen ceremony belonged to her and Lucas. I refused to allow their betrayal to take an entire country from me. I had always wanted to see Denmark, the coast, the old streets, the winter markets, the snow-covered hills farther north. 4 years. I told myself we would travel after the next financial milestone. After Claire's company became stable, after we bought a larger home, after she finally had time. My life had been built from postponed happiness. I was finished postponing it. I cancelled an order for a limited edition bracelet I had planned to give Claire when I proposed. Then I created a countdown on my phone. 90 days. Below it, I wrote, spend what you saved. See somewhere beautiful. Sell the company, shares. Arrange everything before the end. My first stop was a village surrounded by snowy hills, standing beneath a sky so pale it seemed painted. I felt the tightness in my chest ease. I stayed in a small room with sunlight across the bed for several hours. I almost felt healthy. Then I opened social media. Lucas had created an account called 90 Days of Love. The first video showed him and Claire inside the chapel. He faced the camera. The doctors say I have 3 months left. Claire held his hand. So we've decided to live an entire lifetime before the end. The video continued. A church ceremony. A horse-drawn carriage. Fireworks over Copenhagen. On New Year's Eve. Claire laughing as Lucas placed a ring on her hand. The caption read, Day 1. Death cannot frighten me when the woman I love is beside me. Thousands of people had commented, this is true love. She gave him the greatest final gift possible. Her former boyfriend should let her go. Some people spend their whole lives without being loved this deeply. I read until the words stopped feeling real. The public believed Lucas was dying. They believed Claire was sacrificing her future to comfort him. I was the obstacle standing outside their tragic romance. One commenter wrote, I hope the man she was dating understands. Surely no decent person would make this about himself. I laughed until it became a cough. Blood touched my palm. People only see the version of a story that survives editing. Lucas had illness. Claire had sacrifice. I had been removed completely. My body could not tolerate traveling for long. After several weeks, the pain became too severe. A clinic refused to provide the medication I needed without complete records, so I returned to England. While waiting outside a London hospital, I found a crowd gathered near the entrance. A young woman sat in a wheelchair, wearing a bridal veil. Beside her stood a man holding a small ring box. The woman was thin. Her hair had fallen out during treatment, but she was laughing as though the entire hospital belonged to her. Her boyfriend asked me to take a photograph. Could you make us look less terrified? He said. I'm not sure a camera can perform miracles. The woman smiled. Just make sure the veil hides the bald patches. Her name was Hannah Moore. She had bone cancer. Her fiancé was Noah Grant. They were both 25. I took photographs until the instant camera ran out of paper. Hannah studied the final image. We look happy, you are happy. For now. Noah turned away quickly. Hannah pretended not to notice his tears. Several weeks later, I met her again in Trafalgar Square on New Year's Eve. She was alone. Where is Noah? I asked. We separated. Why? He wanted to marry me. That is generally what a proposal means. He deserves a wife who will grow old with him. Did he agree? No. So you made the decision for him. She narrowed her eyes. You don't know me well enough to judge me. You're right. I sat beside her wheelchair. My girlfriend secretly married another man who lied about having cancer. Hannah stared at me. I continued. I actually have terminal leukemia. She doesn't know. Her mouth opened, then closed. Fine, she said. You win. Win what? The competition for the most disastrous life. For the first time in weeks, I laughed without pain. At midnight, fireworks covered the sky. Hannah and I took a photograph together. She studied it. One bald woman and one man who looks like a strong wind could carry him away. The fireworks are attractive, much more than us. We both laughed. Somewhere else in the square, Claire was holding Lucas's hands for a video. I saw it online the next morning. She was warming his fingers with her breath. She had once complained when I asked her to wear gloves because she hated carrying unnecessary things. Watching her become tender for someone else should have destroyed me. Instead, I turned off the phone and went to sleep. I had more important things to do. 20 days remained on my countdown when I returned to Whitmore Metrics. The receptionist looked alarmed. Mr. Cole, we weren't expecting you. I'm still a shareholder. Of course. Is Claire here? She's in a meeting. I walked toward the executive floor. The conference room door was partly open. Claire stood beside Lucas. His hand rested casually around her waist. Several employees were preparing for a company dinner. Claire had always been strict about professional conduct, yet Lucas touched her in the office as though he already owned everything around him. When she noticed me, she pushed his hand away. "Ethan," Lucas smiled, "have we met?" He wanted to perform innocence in front of Claire. I looked at him. "We have spoken." His expression changed for a second. Claire did not notice. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "I came to speak with human resources." "About what?" "My position." She glanced at Lucas. "Could we discuss this privately?" "There is nothing private left between us." The sentence made her flinch. Lucas stepped closer. "We're taking the staff to dinner. You should join us." "No, thank you. Don't be unfriendly." He touched Claire's arm again. A deliberate challenge. Months earlier, I might have confronted him. Now I barely had enough energy to remain standing. I continued toward human resources. Claire followed. "Ethan, wait." She grabbed my wrist. The corridor moved beneath me. I nearly fell. Claire steadied me. "What is wrong with you?" "Nothing. You've lost weight." I noticed. "Are you dieting?" "Something like that." She searched my face. For one hopeful moment, I thought she might truly see me. Then Lucas called her name from the conference room. Her attention shifted. I removed her hand. "Go to dinner." "Why are you here?" "To resign from the decorative position you gave me." "You don't need to resign." "I do. You'll become bored." "I'll manage." Claire's expression hardened. "Are you behaving this way because of Lucas?" "What way?" "Cold. Passive-aggressive. I learned from an excellent teacher." She stared at me. I gave her a tired smile. "Enjoy your dinner." That afternoon, I formally removed myself from the company. Then I contacted an investment firm and sold most of my shares to a responsible institutional buyer. I kept enough voting authority to prevent the company from collapsing during a transition. Claire had built something valuable. I did not want thousands of employees punished for her choices, but I was finished allowing her to treat my investment, labor and loyalty as invisible resources. The next task was arranging my funeral. I entered a small funeral home in South London. The manager looked up from his computer. "How can I help?" "I need to schedule a cremation." "For a relative?" "For me." He stared. "I'm sorry. I'm terminally ill." His expression softened. "Is there someone helping you make these arrangements?" "No." "Family?" "No." "Your partner?" "Unavailable." He looked uncomfortable. I placed an envelope on the desk. "I'll pay in advance. Call me every morning. If I stop answering, contact the hospital and the building manager." "That is not normally how this works." "I don't want to be found after several weeks." He looked at the envelope, then at me. "Keep your money for now. I'm paying for a service, and I'm not taking advantage of a dying man. I'm asking you to prevent me from becoming a problem for strangers." He sighed. "My name is Arthur." "Ethan, I'll call you." Every morning after that, Arthur phoned. 18 days. Still alive. Unfortunately, 17 days. Any improvement? No. 16 days. Have you reconsidered treatment? No. 10 days. You sound terrible. I feel worse. 5 days. Ethan, do you genuinely have no one? I have someone. I thought of Hannah. She had moved into a small hospice apartment after ending things with Noah. Her condition was worsening too. We began spending our final days together because neither of us wanted to die completely alone. She required a wheelchair. I sometimes needed oxygen. Between us, we formed one functional person. Hannah ordered food when my hands shook. I reached the high shelves she could not access. We argued about films. She insulted Lucas daily despite never meeting him. "Your girlfriend is an idiot," she announced one afternoon. "She has a master's degree. Education and wisdom are not the same thing." Apparently not. And the fake cancer influencer, Lucas, I refused to learn his name. "You just said it. Never again." Hannah pretended not to miss Noah. Every time her phone lit up, she looked toward it. Every time it was not him, her face changed. You should call him, I said. No, he loves you. That is why I left. You are making the same mistake Claire made. Her eyes narrowed. Explain carefully. You are deciding what someone else is allowed to endure without asking him. I'm protecting him. No, you're protecting yourself from witnessing his grief. She looked away, perhaps. I understood her fear, but I also knew the pain of being excluded from an important truth. Before the end, I encouraged Hannah to tell Noah where she was. Unlike Claire, she still had time to correct her choice. On the final day of my countdown, Claire called. Her voice was unusually gentle. Ethan, I need another week. For what? Lucas is having complications. I closed my eyes. Hannah was sleeping in the next room. An oxygen machine hummed beside me. Claire continued. I know we discussed getting engaged this month. She still believed the countdown on my phone had been for a proposal. I haven't forgotten. I'm relieved. Are you? I thought you were angry. I'm tired. We can sign the marriage documents first if that makes you feel secure. I almost laughed. She was already legally married to Lucas. Perhaps she intended to become a widow within days, or perhaps she planned to explain everything later and expect me to forgive her. Take your week, I whispered. Ethan, are you ill? Yes. Do you need a doctor? I've seen enough doctors. I'll come home soon. No need, I promise. Claire had made many promises. They had all required me to remain available until she was ready to keep them. I ended the call. 5 days later, Claire waited inside a rented ballroom believing I would arrive to propose. She wore the dress I once said made her look like winter sunlight. Her colleagues had gathered. Flowers covered the stage. A live stream had been arranged because Whitmore Metrics had recently become a recognizable brand. I did not attend. Lucas did. He entered holding a microphone and announced that his cancer had miraculously disappeared. The doctors cannot explain it, he told the audience. Love saved me. People applauded. Then Claire looked at the medical records projected behind him as part of his presentation. The dates were inconsistent. The hospital names did not match. One scan belonged to another patient. Claire had spent months funding his treatment, traveling with him and building his public story. She understood financial fraud better than most investigators. It took her less than a minute to see the truth. You were never terminally ill. Lucas's smile disappeared. I was sick. With what? It was complicated. You told me you had 3 months. I thought I did. Which oncologist treated you? He looked toward the cameras. Claire, not here. You used another patient's records. I can explain. You convinced me to marry you. You chose me. The sentence silenced the room. Lucas was right about that much. He had lied. But Claire had chosen to betray me. She grabbed the marriage certificate from his presentation table and tore it in half, forgetting that paper did not erase legal records. The entire confrontation was live. Within hours, journalists uncovered the fabricated diagnosis. Brands ended their contracts with Lucas. Police opened an investigation into fraud, falsified medical documents, and money raised through public donations. The public that once adored his tragic romance turned away. Claire did not celebrate. She only asked one question. Where is Ethan? My phone began ringing. Repeatedly the following morning, Hannah reached for it. Claire again. I blinked once. Block her. I blinked twice. No. I wanted the line open. Not because I planned to speak. Because some cruel part of me wanted Claire to experience the uncertainty she had given me for months. Hannah answered. Stop calling. Claire's voice came through loudly. Who are you? The person taking care of Ethan. While you played wife to another man. Silence. Then Claire said, put him on the phone. He cannot speak properly. What happened? He's dying. Another silence followed, the kind that divides a person's life into before and after. Claire's voice became small. What do you mean? Terminal leukemia. No. He was diagnosed 3 months ago. No. The day Lucas sent him your wedding photographs. How do you know about that? Because Ethan told me. Where is he? Hannah looked at me. I shook my head. Claire began pleading. Please, I need to see him. Hannah's face hardened. You had 3 months. I didn't know. You noticed his fever. Silence. You saw the bleeding. Silence. You watched him lose weight. Silence. He came to your office barely able to stand. Claire began crying. I thought he was angry. He was dying. I need to apologize. He does not need your apology. Please. Hannah looked at me again. My eyes were becoming difficult to keep open. He's going somewhere you cannot follow, she said. Then she blocked the number. Claire found the hospice apartment the following evening. She arrived only minutes before Arthur's team came for me. Hannah later told me what happened. Claire burst through the door calling my name. I was lying near the window. My breathing had already stopped. For 3 months, I had imagined how it might feel to see Claire finally understand. Would I feel vindicated, loved, powerful? In the end, I saw nothing. I died before she arrived. Hannah stood between Claire and the bed. No. Claire stared at me. What? You don't get to turn his final moment into another scene about your regret. He's my fiancé. You were married to someone else. That marriage was based on fraud. Your betrayal was not. Claire moved forward. I need to touch him. He asked not to see you. The words stopped her. He said that, yes. Hannah did not soften the truth. Even while dying, he was afraid you would arrive with Lucas and ask him to understand. Claire covered her mouth. Arthur's staff entered quietly. She attempted to stop them. This is my home. You cannot take him. Arthur looked at Hannah. She handed him the signed documents. Ethan had arranged everything. Cremation, payment, transportation, no public funeral, no family notification until afterward. Claire read my signature. Her knees weakened. Why would he arrange this alone? Hannah answered, because everyone who should have helped him was busy choosing someone else. My ashes were buried beneath a young oak tree outside a quiet village. Only Hannah knew the exact location. I had told her I did not want to become a wandering memory attached to Claire's guilt. My parents abandoned me, I said during our final week. The woman I loved never gave me a family, so bury me beneath something that will grow. Trees aren't families, they remain. Hannah honored the request. Claire begged for the location. She offered money, shares, property, anything Hannah wanted. Hannah refused. You don't need to apologize at his grave. Why not? Because an apology is for the living person you harmed. Claire began crying. I didn't know he was ill. You knew he was hurt. That isn't the same. No. Hannah looked directly at her. It was simply easier to ignore. Then she revealed the part Claire understood least. Ethan paid your tuition. I know. He funded your company. I know. He owned 56%. Claire stared. What? You told Lucas he was only a man with a school education who could never manage your company. Her face went pale. He sold most of his shares before he died. Claire's voice shook. To whom? An institutional investor. The new shareholder retained the company but replaced the executive leadership after the scandal. Claire was removed as chief executive, not because she had been unfaithful, because she had concealed a legal marriage, diverted company resources toward Lucas's projects and permitted confidential business information to appear in his online content. The board offered her a smaller advisory role. She refused. Within months, the company she believed she had built alone continued without her. For the first time, Claire understood how much of her success had rested on labor she had stopped seeing. My mother learned about my death through the news, an employee from the funeral home later described. The morning I scheduled my own cremation, the story spread, not because I wanted public sympathy, because people were shocked that a 27-year-old man could arrange his own death while everyone closest to him remained unaware. My mother found Hannah. Did Ethan really die? Hannah nodded. My mother collapsed onto a bench. I told him not to call me. I know, he said he was ill. I know. I thought he wanted money. He needed a donor test. My mother began crying. I didn't know. Hannah looked exhausted. Everyone says that after the person who tried to tell them is gone. My mother never learned where I was buried either. Regret did not automatically create entitlement. Lucas eventually admitted that he had fabricated the terminal diagnosis. He claimed he had feared losing Claire. He wanted 3 months during which she would choose him without hesitation. He expected to announce a miraculous recovery after becoming indispensable to her. Instead, he faced fraud charges and was ordered to return the donations his followers had given for treatment. His career disappeared, but no angry crowd was allowed to decide his punishment. Courts did, contracts did, evidence did. Claire cooperated fully with the investigation. It did not restore my life. It only prevented Lucas from deceiving someone else. Hannah called Noah shortly after my death. She told him everything. The cancer, the hospice, her fear, the reason she had pushed him away. Noah arrived the next day. He entered the room, saw how thin she had become, and began crying. Hannah attempted to make a joke. You look terrible. So do you. I have cancer. What's your excuse? You left me. She looked down. I thought I was protecting you. You were protecting yourself from watching me choose you. Hannah closed her eyes. I'm sorry. Noah knelt beside her wheelchair. Don't decide my grief for me. She nodded. They did not hold a dramatic wedding. They did not turn her illness into public content. They spent the remaining weeks quietly. Films, takeaway food, arguments over blankets, ordinary love without an audience. When Hannah died, Noah held her hand. She was buried near my oak tree. Before the end, she told him my story. Ethan supported someone for 9 years, she said. She only saw what he gave after he stopped giving. Noah kissed her forehead. I see you, you'd better. I do. Hannah smiled. That's enough? Claire spent years trying to find my grave. Eventually, she stopped asking, not because she forgot, because she finally understood that my last boundary deserved to survive me. She returned to education and began working with scholarship programs for students who supported partners or family members while studying. She never mentioned me in speeches, never used my sacrifice to rebuild her reputation. Each year, she transferred money into a fund for adults with rare blood types seeking emergency donors. She knew charity could not purchase forgiveness, but it could prevent another person from sitting alone outside a hospital believing no one would come. Claire never remarried. That was not proof that she loved me most. Loneliness is not atonement. She remained alone because, for a long time, she could not trust the person she had become. She had once believed love meant having someone who always waited, someone who paid, cooked, forgave, invested, believed. She had mistaken devotion for an unlimited resource. Only after it disappeared did she understand its value. Months after my death, Hannah released one final video. She did not show my face. She showed the snowy hills I had visited in Denmark, the hospital photograph I took of her and Noah, a sunrise through the hospice window, and the small oak tree moving in the wind. Her narration said, people praised a man who pretended to be dying because his story looked romantic. They ignored the man who was truly dying because his suffering was quiet. Ethan worked 4 years to educate the woman he loved. He helped build the company that later made her ashamed of him. When she became successful, she treated his lack of education as proof that he belonged behind her. But degrees are not the only evidence of intelligence. Titles are not the only evidence of value. And success does not belong only to the person standing beneath the lights. The video ended with words from the final note I left her. I used to believe Claire was my future because I had invested so much of my past in her. But time already spent is not a reason to waste the time that remains. I gave her an education because I loved her. I helped her build a company because I believed in her. Those choices were sincere, even if she later betrayed them. Her actions do not make my kindness foolish. They only prove she was not worthy of receiving it forever. I do not want revenge. I want the days I have left to belong to me. The video reached millions of people. Many asked where I had been buried. Hannah never answered. The oak continued growing, without visitors. That was what I wanted. Not a monument built from Claire's regrets. Not strangers using my death to attack people they did not know. Only a quiet place beneath something alive. Claire had once told Lucas that I was only a man with a secondary school education. She was right about the certificate. I never attended university. I could not speak in academic language. I did not know how to impress boardrooms, but I understood hunger, work, sacrifice, trust, and the difference between loving a person and loving what they provide. Claire's education taught her how to build a company. Losing me taught her what no university had managed to explain. A person can help raise you from nothing and still walk away when you treat their love like something beneath you. Lucas believed 3 months of drama could defeat 9 years of loyalty. Claire believed 9 years of loyalty meant I would never leave. Both were wrong. Lucas lost the audience he had manipulated. Claire lost the man she believed would always be waiting, and I lost my life much earlier than I deserved. But during my final months, I gained something I had never possessed while orbiting Claire. My own time, my own choices. A friend who understood the truth without asking me to compete for compassion, and the certainty that kindness does not become meaningless simply because it was given to the wrong person. Sometimes betrayal does not destroy the value of what you gave. It only ends the other person's right to keep receiving it. What would you have done in Ethan's place? Would you have exposed Claire and Lucas immediately, or quietly sold your shares and spent your final months living for yourself? Share your opinion in the comments. And if you enjoy emotional stories about betrayal, regret, sacrifice and realizing someone's value too late, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next story. This story is entirely fictional and created for entertainment purposes. It does not encourage harassment, retaliation, online abuse, or taking medical matters into your own hands. Serious illness and betrayal can cause intense emotional distress. Anyone facing a medical or emotional crisis should seek help from qualified professionals, local emergency services, or trusted people.